Here's some crazy history facts you won't learn anywhere else. Cleopatra, the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt, lived closer to the invention of the iPhone than to the construction of the pyramids. Napoleon wasn't actually short like everyone says he was. He was mismeasured while in exile on the island of Elba, and the mismeasurement stuck. The Great Fire of London, which began in a bakery on Pudding Street, killed only 6 people. Oxford University, the oldest in the UK, was founded in 1096. While the Aztec Empire didn't start until 1428, the Eiffel Tower was once considered hideous and was only saved from demolition by the outbreak of World War II. The shortest war in history lasted just 38 minutes. It was a border dispute between 2 African nations in 1896. Einstein was once offered the presidency of Israel, but he turned it down. The guillotine, a device used for beheading people during the French Revolution, was used in France until 1977. The Leaning Tower of Pisa took nearly 200 years to build. Construction began in 1173 and wasn't completed until 1372. George Washington never had wooden teeth. Despite what some people might tell you, all of his teeth were real, even if they weren't his. Ancient Romans used urine to whiten their teeth. They either boiled urine with vinegar or ground it into a powder and mixed it into their toothpaste. The Colosseum, the largest amphitheater ever built, once had a retractable roof. The world's first pregnancy test was performed in ancient Egypt around 1500 BC. A woman would insert a small amount of vaginal fluid into a small container and then put it into a linen bag. The fluid was then strained through a piece of cloth and examined under a microscope. If the pregnancy test was positive, the woman would be advised to take precautions to prevent a miscarriage. That's all for today. See you next time. Here are some crazy history facts you won't learn anywhere else. Part DS. In the early 1900s, ketchup was sold as medicine. Doctors even recommended it for babies. Hitler's nephew, William, who changed his name to Bill, fought for the U.S. Navy during World War II. He was awarded the Purple Heart after being injured in battle. The Titanic's distress signal wasn't just SOS. It also contained the letters C-R, which stood for in considerable distress. The Great Wall of China isn't visible from space with the naked eye. Contrary to popular belief, the first Olympics, held in 708 BC, didn't award gold medals. The winners received a crown made of olive leaves. Victorians feared being buried alive, so some wealthy people bought safety coffins that had viewing windows, so that they could be sure that they were dead before they were buried. Vikings didn't wear horned helmets. That is a common misconception that came about because of the romanticized depictions of Vikings in art and literature. The Cold War nearly ended civilization. In 1979, a Soviet nuclear missile carrying a warhead designed to destroy Washington, D.C., was accidentally launched. It remained undetected until it reached Canadian airspace. At that point, American radar system identified it as a Soviet missile, and Canada notified the U.S. government. The Soviet Union then sent a message to the U.S., informing them that it was a false alarm. The missile had malfunctioned and never posed a real threat. Winston Churchill was once hit by a car in New York. In 1929, he was crossing the street when he was struck by a yellow taxi and thrown into the air. He landed on the pavement and was slightly injured, but he refused medical attention. In 1919, Boston experienced a molasses flood. A massive wave of molasses, nearly 30 feet high, poured through the streets of Boston's North End neighborhood. It was the result of a tank filled with molasses bursting. The flood killed 21 people and injured 150 others. Abraham Lincoln was a wrestling champion in his youth. He was known as the rail splitter because he spent much of his time splitting rails for fences. He was said to be able to wrestle any man in his county, and he never lost a match. The destruction of the Library of Alexandria, one of the ancient world's great libraries, remains a mystery. It's believed that the library was destroyed over several different periods of time, but no one knows for sure how or why it happened. One theory is that it was deliberately set on fire by Julius Caesar.